Welcome back to the Reality Guys. I'm your host, Billy Blinks, joined as always by my co host, Brian.
What's going on, buddy?
We're here to talk one of our favorite shows. This is Temptation Island, specifically season 5, episode 2, Tiki Lights and Freaky Nights. Brian, we have now seen this episode. We'll have the couples separated. They'll have now gone to their separate villas. We will also have the first date selection here in this episode. So we really are getting all the pieces into place. I think this episode also, with the fact that even the date selections again made sure that the couples were interacting with one another. They've really hammered that home early in this season that it's going to make it much more personal to when these other connections start to get explored and when they progress to the physical stage. I think we are going to get a lot more reactions vocally and emotionally. Before we talk about the details, what did you think about episode 2?
I really enjoyed it. I do like that the date portion is now. I feel like they took like a season or two off where they are now they were separated and you make your picks. I like this one bringing it back to this because like we saw with Vanessa, the saltiness and the bitterness I think is good for the viewer, especially like this might be the best date selection that we've had
Yeah.
ever, if my memory served me correctly. So I enjoy this episode.
Probably even some of the cross interactions could have been a COVID thing too, right?
Yeah,
Trying to limit how many times the groups are commingling. So
that's true. That's a good
really
point.
glad to see that come back in full force.
That's a good
We're going to
point.
run through chronologically in this episode, full spoilers if you haven't seen the episode. Um, Maricela, the reaction at the end of last week, being outed as bisexual by Christopher. Um, we do get to see when she has the reactions with the separation with Mark. He does ask the question. Christopher apologizes to her, apologizes out to the group. Mark asks her how she's feeling about it. Really, what is she supposed to say? Right? It's
Yeah, I was expecting a little more from Mark, honestly.
I'm wondering if they were saving that to get explored a little bit more during the next
Yeah, like a
bonfire.
bonfire. Yeah,
Maybe she didn't really want it to be much a big topic of conversation. Maybe they
that's
wanted
a
to
good
kind of
point.
respect her wishes too. This is the type of show, and especially someone like Mark, where I could see that being a
Yeah,
thing where he's not going to make a storyline out of somebody having something that was never really should have been a part of the show.
that's very true.
Um, some people pointing out that they are attracted to some other people. Paris pointing out how excited she was around Christian. Um, Chris and Marisala quickly speak on it with Mark. That was the stuff about the outing. So I think again, I will a
Yeah,
little more as well, Bry. When the couples go their separate ways, Paris kind of gives an ultimatum. She gives great an ultimatum. Any mistakes, they're done. Guess what? He's probably going to make a mistake.
I think she's gonna make the first mistake. I really do.
She probably will. Caitlin and Hall, this one was tough, heartfelt. Uh, she this journey's about her. I think really at the end of the day, right? We've seen couples that were not engaged yet, but the long-term
Mhm,
relationships where someone needs to go. They caused each other hurt. He caused her hurt in the past. Didn't cheat, but did leave. Right.
mhm.
Um, I think she's going to have to go on these dates and really realize and hopefully see him be able to go through the temptation. And not that she's worried about him being a cheater, but just being able to have that final affirmation and see that he focuses on himself and not on trying to get to know the girls too much. I think he's nervous right now because he did
Yeah,
make that comment about like, oh, I don't want to do this. And everyone thought he was going to be because I don't want to go on a date. He goes, I wish I could date them all. It's like,
yeah.
but
He like says the wrong thing, but he grew on me this episode. I enjoyed him. Like I feel like any normal person, you're like I'm in a committed relationship. Like this is nuts.
he's 35, dude.
Yeah,
He's older than
yeah.
us, and like
Mhm.
we can't imagine going on.
I
You
can't. I
know.
cannot imagine being on the show. Can't.
Uh, let's see what else I have for here. Okay, yeah. So, Maricel and Christopher. That was an awkward one for sure. They didn't really show too much of that
Mhm.
separation. Vanessa and Rob kind of saying "I love you." They've never really said it to each other.
I yeah, that jeez, man. They both of them
Oh, we'll get to
are
Vanessa.
they're in trouble. They're both in trouble.
Michaela and Hall do have a conversation. They're definitely feeling each other. Paris really into Jake. Um, right?
Yeah, I think she was talking to a bunch of people. I thought.
Yeah. Okay. They talk about house rules. This is the beginning of Vanessa stuff. Uh, TP filled, towels folded, no water on the floor, no eating in bed. Close the door after a poop. You have to knock on doors at all times.
There's a couple that I did agree with her, but it was like super early, and then I was like,
Why?
okay,
Yeah.
you're
Why bringing this up?
yeah. I wonder if that was editing. Like they all had stuff and they just kind of piled on her.
They
But
probably did that. You're right.
yeah.
Uh, Christopher and Abby talk. She feels the vibes with him, which comes into play later because he doesn't pick her for a date. She confronts him about that, and he does admit that he's like super feeling her, and he didn't want to take her right away because he was kind of afraid of just like jumping right into it, which
I think that's BS.
it's BS. I think he's into her. I think he just was into both of them, so he picked one.
Yeah. My stock on him is down after this episode. I he's trying to come off like too cool for school, and I think that just like his therapist comment, I was like, this who's this guy think he is?
Oh, that's a good question. Who does he think he is?
Like he think like I don't know. Like
I like that. I just like, I'm like, yeah, who does he think he
yeah,
is?
I just don't like get the not he's not like cocky, but it's just like a weird mindset to come into this show. Like I'm gonna be a therapist and like be friends with everybody. I was like, you were like sweating when you got grinded on by Abby later. Like, come on,
So
man.
funny.
It lasted like 30 seconds.
Um, like I said, when the date selection happens, I think they're doing them a little dirty doing it in front of their partners, but I like the reasoning behind it psychologically and for the television product.
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa chooses Bryce. Marisela chooses Christian. Caitlin chooses Mike. Paris chooses Christian. Oh, wait. Did I say it wrong? Hold on. Yeah, so Christian and Christian, if you noticed the quick cut there, we both were like, wait a second, are we wrong here? Is there really two Christians? There's a Christian and a Christian. We're all good. The
Mm-hmm.
integrity of the show is okay. I just wanted to make sure. Flipping over to the men, Rob chooses Marjorie. Vanessa ain't happy.
No.
I knew it. I knew she wasn't going to be able to keep her mouth shut.
I think she's gonna do that every single time.
I actually really appreciate it. Christopher chooses Alexis. Hall chooses Michaela. Then he's what I said. He makes the dumb comment about wanting to date all of them. He's definitely into Michaela. Michaela, she is going to be an ultimate test for him. He is very attracted to her. You can tell he's flustered.
Yeah, 100%.
Great chooses Tammy. Paris called her ugly.
Yeah, man, they're
Said she should have declined. This is in the confessional, so I'm like, oh, she really just gonna talk that crap. No, Paris calls Great out. She calls Paris. So Paris calls Great her ex, and then calls him rude, and then thinks the pick was to make her mad. Like, says that
yeah.
Tammy's got an ugly personality to her face. Like,
Yeah,
let's go.
I'm not gonna lie. Like they did not look. Vanessa and Paris did not look good during.
No, but I'm all for it,
No,
dude.
of course, as a viewer, it's great. But I mean, it just like she should have said no. Well, who do that on the show? Like, oh, they're here to date. Like,
Yeah, I want to get eliminated, so let me just say no. Like,
yeah,
fuck
wow.
out of here. Luau night, a drink or dare, or drink or shot, basically. The
Mm-hmm.
dare is that you have to do the shot. Things like Vanessa came a little bit, body count with Bryce. Vanessa did the butt cheek shot, pink eye
Yeah.
shot.
I feel like she was the only person there, the only girl. They didn't really look at anybody else. Like, I don't think anybody else did any dare. She was the star of this episode.
There was someone
Good
else,
and bad.
Brian, who you may have considered a girl there. Roberto. Roberto cries because
Oh
he
yeah.
gets talked over at the guy's villa because he reminds him of Vanessa. She must like just batter the hell out of this.
Yeah, there's no way they're gonna be together. There's no
He
way.
cried because he reminded her of his girlfriend because she got talked over. They were just having fun. Like they
Yeah,
weren't trying
it
to be
was like
rude.
it like snuck up on me when it happened. I was like, "Wait, did I miss something?" And it's like, y'all say that.
Um, I thought this episode was good. Again, I think we're getting to know everyone. I had actually thought about it going into episode 2. I'm like, I feel like I don't know these people very well. And I do think I know them pretty well
Yeah,
now.
after tonight.
I thought this episode did a lot. I'm hoping people aren't going to complain that we didn't get to a bonfire or there wasn't like any elimination type things that people like always like look for, right? Like, or what's
Yeah.
going to kill a relationship? Where's those big events? Where's the teases from the trailer? But I like that we're not getting it all. I think maybe if we had one complaint last season was like a lot happened early, right? Like a lot of partying and things early on and hookups, and it kind of didn't really lead to much the rest of the season. So I do like that maybe these will build up to a more natural crescendo.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will. It always picks up after the first bonfire with the editing of the clips.
Yep.
The eliminations, I mean, they always like the eliminations don't. They're like a big deal for the singles, but like as the viewer, like they're all the non-threats. Like they're not like
Yeah.
people you're like tough to see them go unless they did something, but that's not very common.
It's
But
like not unless like it's somebody we become a big fan of,
yeah,
like
right,
Ray Rock.
right. But yeah, I think the first bonfire, it's kind of like similar to some of the other shows. Like we're finally getting to the point where, like when we did watch the Big D, like there's a moment where it's like, okay, now the show's starting to turn up, and that first singles bonfire, when they can like massage the tapes to
Yeah.
like get it, I think that's when it really starts to pick up. Or we get an orb lighting. We haven't got an orb lighting yet. Obviously, they've only been there for single for a
The
night, but
Palantir, yeah, the
yeah,
Palantir is not lit up yet. Sauron has not appeared, but it is coming.
yeah.
And then, like they didn't say, let them come.
Mhm.
So plenty of the Lord of the Rings of Two Tower references going on here in the Temptation Island, but really enjoying the season so far. Make sure you like, subscribe here and on TikTok. We're covering shows on TikTok that we are not covering here on YouTube. Brian's covering Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and Love Island. I'm covering Below Deck. We also have things on our Instagram. Make sure you're checking us out on there. We have some nice premieres next week, The Bachelorette and Claim to Fame Season 2. We are covering other shows like Brian mentioned, The Big D. We'll also have Brian and Lou covering the episode 3 of this season of Alone. Stars on Mars on Fox as well, if you look a few episodes ahead. Playlist for every show that we're covering, including Vanderpump Rules. We'll have a new news video coming out in a few days as well for that. So plenty of content. Like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell. Check out our merch store as well. Wear your tank tops, your shorts, your towels for the summer. Rock the reality, guys. Take pictures and send them to us. But until the next episode, for myself and Brian, thank you. Peace.